Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me this evening are Shady
Hello.
and Adam.
Hello.
And of course, once again, as it is a Friday, I am the keeper for this evening, Sanguine. So, how are you two doing tonight?
I'm all right. Doing okay.
Always better than the alternative.
Yeah. I'm doing all right. Did the two of you have a good Thanksgiving? At least in eating some good foods that came out.
I'll
Uh,
let Shady answer that first, and then I'll launch into my description of last night's dinner.
I had frozen pizza, so yeah.
Ah.
Oh well, I'm with you, Shady Grin. So, uh,
So, now to torment both of you, apparently.
oh no.
Last night, I had a Thanksgiving dinner to myself because I don't live very close to family and I'm nocturnal, whereas the family that I do live like an hour or two away from, they're all diurnal, so wouldn't have worked out scheduling wise to try to go and celebrate with them. But I had a smoked or hickory smoked turkey hind quarter, so thigh and leg, that I roasted off so that it had nice crispy skin, some nice color on the exposed flesh on the other side. Then I also did mashed potatoes, of course, because it isn't a proper Thanksgiving feast without mashed potatoes. So I got mashed potatoes, which I did as a smoked and roasted garlic mash. So I had some smoked garlic that I put in. I had some roasted garlic that I mashed up, put that through the potatoes. I have fresh chives, so I chopped up some of those, threw those in. Of course, heavy cream, plenty of butter, mix that all in. Then whipped the potatoes by hand so that they had a nice texture to them. And I riced my potatoes. I'm not sure how you guys feel. Do you guys prefer very homogeneous mash, or do you prefer some chunks to your mash so that has a little bit of texture?
You talking about mashed potatoes, or
Yep.
what do you think, Shades?
I like the, I guess, as you put it, homogenous mash.
Where it's all very
Homogeneous.
smooth, no.
Yeah, I like to be able to form it into like the Devil's Tower and say this means
Okay.
something.
If you want it to be malleable, then most of the time you want that really nice homogenized mix. And I like my mashed potatoes when I'm doing that sort of mash as the nice homogenized mix. So I always rice the potatoes for my holiday mash. Just gives it a really smooth, silky texture. Absolutely fucking love it that way. So I had that. Then I've been making a broth now for 36 hours. So last night when I was making my dinner, it had been on for about 12 hours, had a decent amount of flavor to it, but it was slightly light in color, which is kind of what I wanted in order to get this really nice pale gravy for the turkey and mash. Then also, after roasting the hind quarter, of course, there's a little bit of fat that's right underneath the skin of turkey, so I allowed that to render out into the bottom of a skillet. And then I had some green beans that I quickly tossed in, roasted those up, seasoned them, added in a pat of butter at the very end so that they were just a fantastic deep flavor to the green beans, nice bit of char on them. Move those off to the side, ready for the rest of the meal to finish. Because at that point, the hind quarter was resting, the potatoes were nearly done, and I just wanted to get a couple mushroom caps on. So I prepped the mushroom caps, threw those into the screaming hot pan that just had the slightest sheen of oil left in it, or cooking fat rather left in it. Sprinkled on some salt, let it pull the moisture out a bit, gave them some nice color on their top and bottom, then added just a little bit of butter to give that little bit of unctuousness that mushrooms so love. Once that was done, I plated up my hind quarter on one side of the plate, my mound of mash on the other, the green beans and mushroom caps along the top, quickly finished up the very light gravy that I wanted with just a pinch of summer savory for a nice herbaceous note. And then spooned that over the mash, spooned that over the hind quarter, then got my drinks out, and I went for a 2 Towns, 2 Berry cider, which is absolutely fantastic. Nice berry notes to that really nice semi-dry apple cider. Then I did a finger of Green Spot last night, which Green Spot is one of my favorite Irish whiskeys. It is absolutely amazing. I cannot recommend it enough to people. And then as the final libation of the night, I had a finger, one of my fingers, of course, of apple brandy.
Yes, one of your fingers.
Yep.
Massive digits.
Exactly. One of my fingers. A normal finger's about a shot. My finger probably about 2. So that was my Thanksgiving dinner, which was fucking amazing. And tonight I'm going to be having a chicken 4-quarter, so the breast and wing, which I just salted, and I'm letting that pull some of the moisture out of the skin as it just sits out in the open, which will allow me to crisp it up a lot nicer. And I'm going to be pan frying that so that it gets nice crispy skin. Flip it over, get some nice color on the underside, just like I did with the turkey hind quarter. Then slice that up and lay it over top of a absolutely beautiful chili crisp mixed in Asiatic rice porridge that I'm going to be doing. And for that, I'm going to use some of the broth, which again is now a 36-hour broth. Going to reduce that down a bit, add in some chili crisp to add a bit of warmth to it, and perhaps a little bit of ginger, a splash of sake, splash of mirin. Then right at the very end, after adding in the rice and letting it start to soak up the concentrated flavors of the reduced broth that I'm going to use, splash in the smallest amount of shoyu, a smoked shoyu, so that it doesn't become overly salty, but just that right level of salt. Crack in an egg to make it really creamy and thick. Then have that with a... I haven't decided... Oh, no, I did decide. I'm going to do Lord's Water Sake, which is a Junmai Ginjo, and an Asahi. Then the only thing that I haven't decided is which of my Japanese whiskeys I'm going to go for.
Japanese whiskey?
Oh, yeah. So, Japanese whiskey is its own style of whiskey now, but it originates from the Scottish tradition. So it's spelled without an E. It is also a double distilled whiskey, just like Scotch, but it has very Japanese flavors when it comes to what
It's
it
tasty.
is aged in, because rather than using a European wood or an American wood, like a lot of scotches and whiskeys, it instead uses Japanese white oak, which lends it a particular flavor that is absolutely fantastic. At least when it's well done. I've had absolutely terrible Japanese whiskeys. The worst Japanese whiskey that I've ever had is the worst whiskey that I've ever had. It had the mouthfeel of ground glass and gasoline.
Ye-
That
But
sounds
a
absolutely delightful.
good Japanese whiskey, oh, it is an absolutely glorious little tickle. They tend to get a little bit more of a mouthfeel than you do in a Scotch or Irish whiskey, but it's not a really aggressive mouthfeel. It's just that very slight, almost Novocaine-esque feeling just on your lips for a really good one. You know the feeling that I'm talking about, right, Atman?
Yep. Actually, next time you come out this ways, we'll hit up this Japanese marketplace, and they have some really good Japanese whiskey.
Sounds good.
Yeah. But I understand what you're talking about. The taste, the granular taste.
Just that little bit of lip tingle as well, which you get from
Yeah.
Japanese whiskeys. And you'll get that from American whiskeys as well. American whiskeys tend to have a bit more burn depending on their quality. Better quality, less burn. Lower quality, more of that burn. Whereas when you're talking Scotches and Irish whiskeys, you get almost no burn. At least a well done Irish whiskey. I've had bad Irish whiskeys. You get burn with those. A good Irish whiskey, which is anything Jameson and up, you won't get a mouth burn. And that's because they are normally triple distilled, which gets rid of a lot of the impurities that causes that burn. And scotches, you don't get that, despite scotches only being double distilled. But the reason why you don't get that is the aging causes a lot of those chemicals to either evaporate off with the time that they age, or they end up reacting with other compounds to form different flavor compounds. So you don't get that burn. You just get that a good whiskey should have no mouthfeel, almost. Like water on the lips, water on the tongue, water down the throat, over the tonsils. It hits your stomach, and it should just bloom. And it should be this warmth that radiates out from your stomach, goes down your body, through your trunk, to your hips, spreads down your legs to the tips of your toes, and on the other side it should expand up from your stomach into your chest, out through your shoulders, down your arms to your fingers, up your neck to your face, and you should just get this lovely, lovely warmth throughout the body.
Jeez. Dude, you writing a poem for whiskey over there?
There have been many that have done that before. There's even a song about whiskey, specifically about the benefits of whiskey, the whiskey humors, or the humors of whiskey, I believe is the proper name of it, which is about one particular type of whiskey that sadly we can't get in America.
Too high of proof or something?
What is that?
It is Pasheen. So, you've all, of course, heard of moonshine, right?
Yeah.
Pasheen is Irish moonshine.
Ah.
And
Is this like
one
a stronger moonshine type of?
Oh, it's a different flavor to it, and it is fairly potent, as most moonshines are. And one of my favorite lines from or one of my favorite couplings of lines from The Humors of Whiskey is, "What's harder than mustard but milder than cream?" And yes, Tyrannus, I've been told many times that when I describe food or drink, I have a somewhat lascivious tone. Yeah, the one line, like I said, from that is, "What's harder than mustard but milder than cream?" There's also the very end of the song is fantastic because it's let me see if I can remember it properly. It's now, oh, come guess this riddle. What beats pipes and fiddle? What's hotter than mustard and milder than cream? What best wets your whistle? What's clearer than crystal? What's clearer than honey and stronger than steam? What'll make the dumb talk? What'll make the lame walk? The elixir of life and philosopher's stone? And what helped Mr. Brunel to dig the Thames tunnel, or dig the Thames tunnel? Wasn't it Pasheen from Old Inisheen? Like I said, the entire song is just about the flavor and potency of Pasheen. I absolutely love that song just because it's one of those. Okay, yeah, you know, a culture loves drinking when they're waxing poetic about their moonshine.
I'm surprised they can be poetic when they're drunk out their butt.
Oh, you'd be surprised how fucking fluid the poetry comes out when you're completely pissed with a proper inspiration.
Well, you know, it's Americans are doing their moonshine, and then the Irish are like, "Hey, hold my beer."
Yep. We'll raise your moonshine with Pasheen. And not only will we raise your moonshine with Pasheen, but we'll be proper fucking bardic about it. We'll write a song, we'll write poems, we'll sing the virtues of our alcohol. Fuck you.
I want to try this.
I do absolutely love a lot of the things that are in Celtic mythology and Celtic lore, where it's, yeah, this just inspires people to do poetry and to sing. Probably one of the best is, have either of you heard of the Lianshi?
No.
A character from a video game, and yeah, it's not what you think it is. At least not what the one I know isn't the same one you know.
Okay, so the Lianshi from Celtic lore is particularly amusing to me because the Irish looked at the succubus and went, what if not only do they end up ultimately killing you, but they're so goddamn pretty and they fuck you so well that you become the most prolific poet of an age. Thus was born the Lianshi. The Lianshi is a type of fae that was so insanely beautiful that even the person with the lamest of tongues, even the person with the most leaden of lips would be able to compose absolutely gobsmacking poetry at the sight of her. She could inspire poetry in any heart. So she would go around, find someone that she fancied, she would inspire them to create unrivaled works of beauty in verse and song, and eventually she would grow bored after just absolutely fucking rocking this person's world for an extended period of time, making them the greatest bard of their age, she would grow bored of this person because they had hit their absolute peak and they could produce nothing of finer quality than what they had already produced.
So wait, she pretty much rode this dude until he could no longer produce.
Until he could no longer produce poetry or song, but
I
could
think I
still be
remember
productive
this
in other manners, shall we say.
from a show called
Ah.
Grimm. I
So,
think there was one.
probably. So she would do this, and then she would end up wandering away, and it's somewhat unclear because in certain versions it is less that this is malicious and it is more just the nature of the Lianshi that they'll end up wandering away after a period of time. And the person that had been inspired by the Lianshi would be so heartbroken, so lost, that they would just give up. And upon their death, the Lianshi would return one final time. And she would take the body back to where she dwelled, and she would bleed the body and bathe in its blood and absorb back whatever poetic talent the person ever had, heightening her own ability to inspire poetry in others, while also making herself even more beautiful. So it's just this positive feedback loop of inspire ridiculous poetry, make an even more ridiculous poet, they die, bathe to inspire even more ridiculous poetry. And it's an absolutely fascinating bit of
monsters.
Fey creature. And yet, she is a bit of a cunt, but she's the sort of cunt that a lot of people go, I can deal with that.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Some of these monsters, people will try and fix. So,
The I can fix her when you're looking at a Lianshi. Look, I know she's probably going to milk me dry of all my creative talents and in many other ways in the process. Now that sounds really nice to begin with, but I can fix her.
Don't do it. Lads, look, stop. Don't do it.
Don't get drained in many ways.
Good help. There's plenty of avenues to you know what, honestly, you should look to, starting a family, okay? That's the better route. The crazy, it may seem tempting, but
can bear you children. You can start a family and be completely drained of your creative ability by just being burned that little bit hotter, that little bit brighter.
I think the fact that you started that sentiment from the back of the the hallway and you came running in with that.
Yeah, I moved closer as I was building. But yeah, the thing is that it's this constant question that a lot of people have. If you could become ever more talented, if you could become ever more capable, but at the cost of years, is it worth it? Is it worth it to burn brighter, to burn hotter, but to burn out quicker? Or would you rather be an ember that can be nursed and kept alive for a long, long time? Which one is better? Which one is more noble? To burn brightly, to burn hot, to burn out quick, or to burn slow, to burn
No,
cool,
you gotta get you one that
to burn
keeps
for
you
a
on
long
your
time.
toes. You know, who's right quick to just as ready to feed you an onion as to pog you. So, oof. I don't know about that. um,
That's functionally what the Lianshi is. The Lianshi is that offer of, do you want to be better for a short period of time? Or
Dubby,
will you
you know I gotcha.
forego the pleasure? Will you forego the fame? Will you forego the abilities to live for a longer time?
You want to live forever? Yep.
And that's the allure of the Lianshi. Because a good chunk of the stories about the Lianshi, it isn't a surprise to the person that they've fallen for the Lianshi. They kind of grok on to the fact that that's the fucking Lianshi almost immediately. Because when you see someone so goddamn gorgeous that they immediately inspire verse, you're kind of already going, okay, this is fucking strange. And then if you look like a standard poet and she's willing to fuck you, that should immediately be, is she the Lianshi?
Well, hold on. Is that not the simp trap? I guess.
It is to a large extent, only the difference is the Lianshi will actually fuck you.
Hold on. I don't like the distance chatter. What are you like basting foods, or what are you doing?
Currently, I am cleaning the skillet that I'll be using to sear off my chicken breast.
Oh, okay.
So I just wiped out the skillet to make sure that it doesn't have any dust or anything like that, and to make sure that it is doubly clean, I just splashed in an ocean of vodka.
I mean, as long as we have a context of what's going on. But yeah, no, yeah. Wait, what are we talking about, ladies? Or ladies? You know, I don't know. I like. I'm not opposed to a strong lady, so I can.
Not opposed to burning brighter, burning hotter, but burning out faster.
Hey, you know.
Because the thing is that right up until she disappears from your life, by all accounts, your life is bliss. You're brilliant. You're talented. You're capable. You are inspiring to others.
Hold on.
And not only that.
Why are you trying to erase this lady from my life? I want this lady.
Like I said, not only that, but you have someone who is ethereally gorgeous, who inspires you to ever greater accomplishments.
And she's got a really nice smile too. I honestly, I mean, she's she's obviously beautiful, but you know, yeah.
Like I said, she is.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Ethereally beautiful, and she's preternaturally. What would be the best way of phrasing this?
How did we get? Hold on. How did we get?
Stimulating,
how did we get to this,
I guess. Talking about the Lianshi. This is still all about the Lianshi.
Lianshi is that like a?
So
what is it?
Is it Celtic myth or Irish?
It's Well, it is a Celtic, and the subsection
Oh,
of
no.
Celtic that it is it's an Irish. They are a fae creature, and they have the particular effect on people of inspiring poetry and verse. And we got onto this because we were talking about
okay.
how there's a lot of poetry and songs about whiskeys and alcohol. And I said, yeah, it's always amusing when you look into the various legends, histories, and lore of the Irish, because there's a bunch of things that will inspire them to verse. You have you have whiskey, which inspires verse quite often. You have various poetic drafts from the mythology, and then you have the Leonshi, who
All right,
will
so
just
I get you.
fuck poetry and music into you.
Yeah, I guess you could say that she inspires both poetic verse and whiskey drink as well.
She doesn't
So-
inspire whiskey drink, just whiskey drinking also can inspire poetry.
This goes hand in hand, right?
Yes, according to legend, she would absolutely qualify as a throat goat as well as several other
Oh,
types.
jeez. Okay,
Jesus.
listen, sir.
See, the thing that I find hilarious about this is I'm talking about mythology and I can be very highbrow for that, but I'll still slip in shit like that. That's where the fun is
And
for me.
and hey,
That will be said with
as much
equal
fun
severity.
as we like to play, I like to implore that I still maintain my what would a paladin was it virtuous good or something like that was a
You still
virtue?
employ your virtue, or if you want to refer specifically to the temperance of carnal desires, then that would be your chastity.
yes.
That
Yeah,
one.
well, yes, that
Which is very similar to temperance, but temperance is of other earthly desires, whereas chastity is strictly of the more carnal nature.
I'd just like to remind everybody that Minions of the Zoo is a family-friendly show, and so to try and keep it at that.
I don't think any of my streams have ever been that.
I know.
The number of times that I've talked about cannibalism, the inevitable rise of designer genitalia stores,
God.
various mythological creatures that will fuck the ever-living shit out of you in multiple ways. I don't think any of
yes,
them
all
have
that.
ever been family friendly. They've all been informative in their own way, but not quite family friendly.
Well, I guess nowadays family-friendly is
Oh yes, if you're putting it on the same scale as Drag Queen Story Hour or the like, then
Whoa!
I suppose this would be rather
I
family
didn't say
friendly.
that. But yes, we are changing for the times, so
Yeah. I mean, the only way that we could become more family friendly by that definition would be if we too also involved a gigantic dildo rainbow monkey.
Oh, God.
That is
Dildo
still one of the
rainbow monkey.
weirdest. Do you not remember that story, Adam?
I wish I didn't have that image in my head, but
I was
you.
about to
It
say,
just
how the fuck
popped up.
did you purge that from your mind?
I couldn't. I was trying to defrag my brain, but it didn't work. It didn't work. The goggles, they do nothing.
And goddamn it, cannibalistic wizard. He gives half of the saying there. So he did the incest is wincest, but there's of course the fuller version of that, which is incest is best, so put your sister to the test.
Oh God.
Why? Good. Why? I hate you for making me remember. Yes. Everyone that tried to forget, now remember. The rainbow dildo monkey. If I have to live with that knowledge, so should you fuckers.
I mean, I don't think we have to, but
No, you do. I will ensure it. But yeah.
oh, so my earbud just fell out of my ear.
And Cannibalistic continues on. Well, you would need to put your sister to the test so that your mother can get some rest.
So it rhymes. I didn't know Cannibalistic Wizard was a rapper. Hey, I want to say
I think he's just from West Virginia.
Please go check out our Rumble and give that a like and subscribe. I don't know what the number is, but we're trying to get to 100.
Mm-hmm. So that we'll have the ability to use that as a backup, and also as just a mirror of everything that we do, and potentially we'll also be able to go through and do some additional stuff over there that we would not be able to do here, like make a lot of the jokes that we would otherwise make, but then we're going,
I'm sure you both are itching and trying to say what you want to say, but you can only say that on Rumble. So go check it out.
Sure as shit can't say it on YouTube.
Yep.
Sir Adamantine's asking if we can link it.
Well, I don't know. I don't think any of us are technically able to do such a thing. You know what, Sir Adamantium? You're asking a lot. Why don't you go and fucking figure out?
Don't antagonize people trying to find our channel.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. Look, I'm sorry. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't goof on
See
that.
if I can snag that link real quick, and looks like I can. And there we go. There's the link for... Why do I have an option to time out or block myself as midgets? God damn it. I just clicked over and I thought that there would be an option to pin it at the top of the chat. I know there's the way of putting it at the bottom of the screen. How I'll do that for a while, just so that people can see it. But I was hoping that there'd be the option of pinning it at the top of the chat, because you can do that now. But no, I just have the option of, do you want to ban yourself from your channel? Do you want to time out yourself from your channel that you're currently streaming on? Because these things make sense to a rational person.
Yeah.
Look at them graphics.
Yep. But yeah. So we've talked about our feast that we had, or rather, I talked about my feast, and you guys commiserated about your pizzas.
Yeah, well, not everyone can conjure up such festive feasts there, Sanguine, right? So
Yep.
I got some chicken marinating in the fridge, but I did that today, so.
Nice. What
I
sort of
heated
marinade
up
did
a
you do?
breakfast burrito this morning, so la-di-da-di.
Which sort of breakfast burrito did you heat up?
What's his name? Jack. Oh shit, Jim Beam. Wait, no, not Jim Beam.
Jimmy Dean.
Jimmy Dean, is he's the one that makes the breakfast burritos stuff?
Yep. And Jimmy Dean, I cannot ever consider eating for one reason. It's just their old commercials that concern the ever-living hell out of me. So again, because I remember, I will force everyone else to remember. Do you guys remember the Jimmy...
Hold on, are you gonna shit on my breakfast burrito?
Yes, I am. So do you guys
Oh, no.
remember the Jimmy Dean commercials from a while ago where they were advertising that they use eggs from real chickens, milk from real cows? Do you guys remember what the very next line was?
I
No.
don't know.
And the meat comes from Jimmy Dean. Do they just have some morbidly obese redneck in the back of a factory somewhere that they're hacking off chunks of and throwing into the meat grinder?
Oh,
Wait,
God.
they're putting rednecks in the meat grinder?
Well, they just said that the eggs come from real chickens, so eggs are produced by chickens. That makes sense. The milk comes from real cows. Again, makes sense. The meat comes from Jimmy Dean.
Oh no. So
I think it's self-explanatory there.
is it was it the pink juice or whatever from
Pink
McDonald's?
slime?
Pink slime. So Jimmy Dean has redneck slime.
Jimmy Dean, the
Just-
only surviving member of the Donner Party.
Son of a bitch. I enjoy these breakfast burritos, and I have sausage biscuit things that I have too. Because again, hey, as much of a capacity that I have to cook my own meal, I go with the easy route, and like I was telling Terry the other day, look, I have no problem just living a hardtack. Okay, so it's I'm not gonna complain, and sweet God, I'm sorry, W, but I know you don't like me having no flavor in my foods, sweetheart, but um yeah, no, I have no problem going straight out, just flour, salt, and water. And put that on a thing.
See, for me, if the cost of doubling my life is that I'll enjoy it less than half as much, I don't really see a point to that. Now, if I can double my life and enjoy it 75%, sure. The moment that you start taking away flavor, fuck you.
Hey, but it's not to say that if someone was to offer a meal with flavor, that I would turn it down. No, sir, not at all. It's just I'm I don't I'm a caveman. I'm a monster on that. Like I don't have. But as long as there's no onions.
Like I said, I got Inquisitor to try mushrooms when he said that he didn't like any mushrooms. And what happened? He fucking loved those mushrooms that I made. I am willing to bet I could do the same with you with onions.
Nope. No, my sweetheart could offer me onions, and I would still say, no, it's not I can't do it.
Like I said,
Can't do
I'm willing to bet. And the URL is the Rumble account for the Minions of the Zoo. And we are trying to get to the point where we have 100 subscribers over on Rumble.
What are we at right now?
Let me quickly reload, see if anyone went and did it. We're at 29 currently.
29?
Apparently,
Come
I wasn't
on.
subscribed.
Over
so
a quarter of the way there.
I think we can make it to 30.
I didn't even
at
know we
least
had
for
Rumble.
tonight.
And Tyrannus, I'm willing to bet that I know exactly why you hate mushrooms. Because a lot of people hate mushrooms for the same fucking reason. And the reason is that people cook them wrong. So they'll end up... This is one thing that pisses me off about every fucking recipe that I see when it comes to mushrooms. They'll throw the mushrooms in. Like, halfway to 3/4 of the way through cooking, after the onions, after everything else, and if you see a recipe that says to throw the mushrooms in that late, you fucked up the mushrooms. When you're talking mushrooms, what you want to do is you want to throw them in a hot pan that is either completely dry or very, very lightly oiled.
Well, hold
with a
on.
pinch
Hold
of
on.
salt.
That's okay. So you cooked the mushrooms when we were out camping, and
Yep.
you did something to them. And I think Talik brought it up in chat. Rubbery mushrooms aren't great, and I think what you did prevented that rubbery.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm explaining how to prevent that rubberiness. So what you do is you throw them in a dry or very, very lightly oiled pan first thing, and you put a pinch of salt, because the thing is, mushrooms are a ridiculous percentage water. And when you don't cook off that water, you don't get that nice browning, they end up being kind of rubbery, and they are almost like pencil erasers in
It's like
texture.
chewy. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas when you cook off that water and you let them get that little bit of color, instead of being that rubbery pencil eraser texture, you end up with this meaty little bite of just umami, where it has this fantastic little mouth feel as you bite into it. It kind of threads as you bite it, where threading, I would say, is, think of like pulled pork. How when you bite into a roasted bit of pork that can be pulled, it kind of breaks into those fibers, but in a really pleasant way. If you cook mushrooms right, you get kind of that same effect. And it just, fantastic flavor with the right texture, just that nice, deep umami earthiness that mushrooms should yield. So most people, when they say that they hate mushrooms, they don't hate mushrooms. They hate how mushrooms are done.
Hold on, but you can't say the same with onions. Get out of here.
Oh yeah, absolutely I can. I can absolutely say that, because the vast majority of people that dislike onions, they dislike the sulfurous compounds within onions, which are the, I'm trying to remember the proper name because it's the same thing that's in raw garlic that causes the burning sensation in raw garlic.
Yo, garlic is delicious. I love garlic.
Yep, but the thing is, most people cook the garlic properly, or they have so little of it in that the raw garlic doesn't really hit the taste buds in the same way. But if you have too much raw garlic, and if you end up, let me look up, I know how to find it. It's the chemical from crushing onions. Because the other thing that causes a lot of, well, it's the same chemical that causes you to cry when you're cutting onions. Which do you guys know the easiest way to avoid crying?
I don't want to cry, but I also I gotta give a shout out here. How you doing, Kefki? There you go. And all your I highly appreciate all the floofness that you post. Thank you very much.
So, and the sliminess and texture is also something that is done from people improperly cooking onions. So, when you're chopping onions, if you cry, sharpen your fucking knife. Because the thing that's making you cry is that you aren't actually cutting the onion, you're crushing the onion. And it is the ends up processing one of the compounds into
you're already
sulfenic
having so
acids.
many rules to having to deal with the onion. And why?
There's not a lot of rules. If you're having trouble cutting something properly, the answer is always sharpen your fucking knife. If you're tearing your meat rather than slicing it, sharpen your fucking knife. If you're having trouble cutting through your meat, sharpen your fucking knife. If you're having trouble cutting any green, sharpen your fucking knife. This isn't a ridiculous rule that's being applied on to just onions. No. A lot of instances start with sharpen your fucking knife. And yeah, this is what makes me know that what I'm saying about the reason why people don't like onions is right. Because most people will have the exception of onion rings or really nicely fried onions, like a French fried onion tends to be fairly good. Okra, if you cook it, it is slimy. The ways that you get rid of that is you can pickle okra. Pickled okra is not slimy.
What is okra?
And have a good one, Shady. Shady has to head out. Do you want to give any parting words before you head out?
Oh yeah.
Not tonight. I'll catch y'all later.
Hey, take care, dude.
Right,
it was fun
and
chatting
thanks
with you.
for being on.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, good night. And thanks for having me. Sorry.
Not a problem at all. But yeah,
Wait, what's an okra?
Okra is... Okay, okra is this small green, kind of like 2 to 3 inch long sort of vegetable. Here, let me do this the easy way rather than just describing it. I can just fucking show you okra. And that will help for everyone, rather than them having to picture what I'm saying and hope that they picture it appropriately. So instead, pull this up and okra vegetable. So,
oh no! Do you get an okra under your chair? Oh, that was horrible.
So let's see. This one is a good picture of okra. So, actually, that one is... There we go. This is a good picture of okra. And open image in new tab. Zoom out. And then present. Share screen. Chrome tab. Okra. So, this is what okra looks like. It's kind of a star-shaped cross-section. It's this elongated green pod that has, again, that star-shaped cross-section. It is about 2 to 4 inches at the very least. So you have really short bits of okra, which are about the 2 inches. Yeah, 2 to 4 is probably a good range for the average, or for standard okra that you'd find at a grocery store. You can find longer okra, but your standard grocery store fare, especially when you're looking at pickled okra, probably 2 to 4. And it is a mucilaginous plant. It produces its own mucus. So as you cook it, it is used to thicken up stews a lot, which is where that slime is beneficial. So when you're making gumbo, for instance, gumbo uses the mucilaginous nature of okra to thicken it.
What would be an analogy to this? Like, I'm looking at it like a cucumber.
So it isn't like a cucumber in flavor. It has I kind of want to say grassier flavor, but grassier isn't exactly right. And one of the other things that I want to say doesn't make necessarily the most sense, because it has a very green flavor, would be a way of phrasing it.
Do you cook it with the seeds, or?
Yeah, the seeds are edible. So the 2 ways that you can get rid of the sliminess are, as Cannibalistic just brought up, frying okra.
Hold on. Can we address why are we taking food advice from Cannibalistic Wizard? Can we just at face value say, sir, I love your input, but you're a cannibalistic wizard.
Well, you have to admit that fava beans with a nice Chianti do pair beautifully with liver.
Oh no. So seeds, yes or no?
Yes, you eat the seeds. So
Eesh.
you can pickle okra, and pickled okra is fantastic. It has a nice acidity. It has that it would be kind of like, not a kale. Kale's too bitter, but a good dark leafy green. It kind of has the same flavor as a good dark leafy green. But like I said, in stews, it produces this mucus, which doesn't sound very appetizing, but it thickens things wonderfully. In other uses, you can fry okra, which is beautiful. You typically have a dip of like a wrench or something along those lines as the dip for fried okra. Really good. Then you also have pickled okra, which has that nice dark green flavor with the acidity.
Is it weird that I would say that I would try a meal cooked up with this type of plant before I'd eat anything with onions?
Well, you'd have a hard time finding that, because a lot of where okra is used, in the US at least, is Creole and Cajun cooking. And when you're talking Creole and Cajun, they swear by the Holy Trinity.
Eat. That's the Holy Trinity.
Holy Trinities, onion, celery, garlic.
That
Also,
is
sometimes carrot. So mirepoix would be with carrot
Sometimes
instead
carrot.
of garlic. The Holy Trinity tends to be including garlic. A lot of them add in a fourth, which is the carrot. But like gumbo uses the onion, celery, garlic as the base, and then you expand out from there. You add in the okra in order to thicken up the gumbo.
I mean, couldn't we substitute onion with like spinach?
No, not at all. They aren't even remotely the same flavor.
I mean, we could. I mean, we could substitute onion with spinach, right?
No, not even remotely. They aren't the same
Okay.
flavor.
All right. Well, just tossing it out there. You know.
That's like asking, can you substitute beef for chocolate? No, they aren't the same flavor. They're
But
entirely
chocolate
different.
is pretty good. I mean, I'm just
Chocolate's good, but
chocolate
it
is
is
pretty tasty.
it tastes absolutely nothing like beef.
Yeah.
So you
I
can't
mean, but
substitute
beef
chocolate
is
for beef.
beef is delicious, and also chocolate is also delicious. So I mean, in terms of replacing deliciousness, I think you're hard pressed to not discourage these. Right? I don't know. Oh,
Like
man.
I said, it's two entirely different flavors. You can't replace a flavor with something that doesn't taste like it at all. When you're trying to replace a herb because you can't find the herb that you want, you try to find a herb or a blend of herbs that have a similar flavor. You don't just go, well, these two things are both things. You don't go, well, I'm trying to find a replacement for rosemary. So I'm going to use mint because rosemary's good and mint's good. No. You can't just substitute those. They have entirely different flavors. So you need to actually match like for like.
I guess there really is no escaping. Eventually, I'm gonna have to eat an onion.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And onions, when done right, taste amazing. A lot of people do them wrong. They don't cook off the sulfuric acid enough because it's normally the LNase ends up producing sulfuric acid, and then that sulfuric acid causes the burning sensation that a lot of people don't like. It's what irritates your mucosal membranes. It produces a sharp flavor to the onion, whereas when you cook those off, you turn a lot of the more complex sugars into simple sugars, so they end up fantastically sweet and delicious. That is when onions really good. It's just like when I say that people cook mushrooms wrong, which causes people to dislike mushrooms. People cook onions wrong, which causes them to dislike onions. So, if you have problems with onions, make sure that you get them cooked right. If
Yeah, but
you
like I said, I'm
say
a
again,
caveman, dude. I don't cook nothing.
yeah, you don't cook anything, but you've had me cook several times. Let me fucking cook onions for you.
Hey, I gotta say, I think it was Kyber Dam, that was surprised. I think she was like, "Wait, the Sanguine and you hung out?" It's like, "Yeah, dude, this dude
Yeah,
cooked me a big ass steak." This is
yeah.
one of the look.
I cooked 12 pounds of steak for 5 people.
Yep. Listen, um, here at the
And it was
Minions, we
12
are
pounds of steak, like 3 pounds of grilled chips, several pounds of whiskied mushrooms, several ears of corn, and then I had my hangover loaf, of course.
and that was just the 4th of July meal.
Yeah,
That's what I
that
mean.
was for one meal for the 4th of July.
It's
Oh,
wonderful.
and I forgot. I had about 3 pounds of grilled asparagus for us as well.
The asparagus was fucking spot on.
Yeah.
I gotta say. I don't understand why people don't like their veggies, but you certainly cooked them to a T. so to say. But yes, minions hangouts are pretty spectacular, so to speak. Um, Especially when you have Sanguine there, you'll get a nice meal there.
Yeah, when I show up like some avatar of a long forgotten feasting deity. Because if there's anything that I can cook on, I will cook a fantastic meal on it. If I'm showing up someplace, I will show up with the box of booze and bread. And the booze will be plentiful and varied. The bread will be hangover loaf most of the time, which in a standard 1 pound loaf size loaf of bread is over a pound of smoked cheddar cheese and over a pound of really fucking good bacon mixed throughout the entire bread. So every single slice is like a breakfast sandwich in your hand. It is fantastic.
It's lambus bread.
Yep, that's the other name that it has been dubbed, lambus loaf.
I mean, it's what you can literally have a slice of this thing and you'll be satiated for a day.
Mm-hmm. Adam has done that several times.
Yes, I can attest to this. Um, a slice will do you. A slice will do you good.
It is fantastic. But yeah, that is always how I show up to any sort of gathering with people. I'll show up with food and booze if it is at all appropriate. And if there's some place for me to cook, I will cook while I'm there. So, our camping trip, I did beer brats one night. I did a campfire stew another. I was also able to make some yakimochi for everyone. Then the second bit of camping, when it was Weibo and I made a Carolina Reaper honey and soy sauce pork loin. That was absolutely amazing. And this was
Man,
with one skillet and a fire.
you cooked that when you hung out with Weibo at Ren Fair, huh?
Yep. That was the breakfast before we fucked off back to our respective areas. I made that pork loin with the Carolina Reaper honey and bit of soy sauce. Let the soy sauce hit the pan just a bit so that it started getting that toasty, almost to the point of being slightly burned. Add in a little bit of that honey, tossed it round off the heat real quick so that it coated the meat entirely. Was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I'll cook on anything. You give me a grill, I'll cook on the grill. You give me a pit with a fire, I'll bring my cast iron and I'll be able to cook on that. You give me...
What about a hot plate?
Yeah, I can cook on a hot plate. As long as it's able to get hot enough to actually be used for proper cooking.
Oh shit. I mean, not to say like, yeah, I'm gonna try and challenge, his he can cook on anything, but that's impressive.
Yep. Yeah, if you give me anything that I can cook on, I'll figure out the way that I need to cook and I'll get a good meal.
That's why I say I always look forward to when Sanguine comes around town. You know you're gonna have a good meal coming.
Yeah. And yeah, most of my cookware is cast iron kefki, so I can bring cast iron skillet, I can bring the Dutch oven, I can bring all kinds of different bits of cast iron when I show up someplace. So I can cook on a grill, I can cook on a fire, I can cook anywhere. And I will make an absolutely ridiculous meal anytime that I show up someplace. Even if I'm not the one providing the food, if someone just provides me with things and they go, I'm not sure what I can do with this, I'll go, I got you. Let me make this. And I'll
They
often
just
do things that
hand
people...
you ingredients.
Yeah. And I'll do things that people don't really think of. Like when I did the campfire stew, the thing that Adam and Inquisitor both found really odd, but absolutely loved, was the jerky that I used for it. I didn't have
Yes.
fresh meat. I just used jerky for the stew.
And that stew
And
was
then
fucking delicious.
one of the other things that you guys all enjoyed was I just did the little jerky sausages over the fire, because all you have to do is melt their fat in those little sausages and the flavor just becomes 100 times better.
What was that? Wasn't there a sausage that you had that you got out?
Oh, yeah. We also had the Landsjäger.
Wait, what was that?
Landsjäger.
Landsjäger.
So,
It's
Lands...
like a sausage
Jaeger.
or
Yeah, it was a type of German sausage.
that's fucking delicious.
Yeah.
Did you get that at the out in Wisconsin, or was that
Yep, we got that at the little grocery store.
on the island?
Man's on the island, and it was just this beautifully spiced little German sausage that you could eat cold and it was good, or if you toss it on a hot skillet or just over the fire, you get that fat to melt just a little bit, you get a little bit of toastiness on it, improves the flavor 100 times over.
Dude, I can't wait till we go back.
It'll be fun.
I really look for everybody. Okay, we're still live, right?
Yep.
Okay, so for everybody listening, yeah, it's a beautiful place. Washington Island, it's awesome. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, Washington Island was a hell of a lot of fun, and Rock Island was beautiful.
Yep.
The hike was a decent little hike. Nothing absolutely ridiculous. It was 6.5 miles. So, just a good little walk. And fantastic time. The food that we had was really good. And next time, if we get enough people that are in on the camping trip, we can make it even better, because we can have a couple people carry a larger tent and then have people that aren't having to carry a tent carry a cooler of food.
Yeah.
Meaning that I'll be able to cook fresh food for us for longer into the trip, and more drastic food for a longer period into the trip. It'll be absolutely amazing. And it is always fun doing shit like that.
Dude, having having a couple of people carry a cooler of food,
Yep.
so that way we can have a nice feast out there. Fuck yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a hell of a lot of fun going to the island. And just like I said, just thinking about the food that we could have if we get a group of us so that we're able to have just a cooler. We'd be able to have steak dinners on the campfire. We'd be able to have pork loin or chicken or all kinds of amazing, amazing food.
Yeah, I think I mean, since we've established how it's set up, I think we can get a better base building going forward. But definitely with the more people, more cargo type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just being able to have a ability to bring all kinds of stuff, and like I said, I can do the stew again. That's dead easy. I can do all kinds of different things. We could have fajitas if we have enough people that I can make my fajita marinade and get a good sized flank steak for all of us. Have that
And we
chicken. Good pork loin is
saw
amazing.
what they had at Washington Island at the mart that we were, was it Bad Mart or whatever? So we saw what we could take onto Rock Island. So I think
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think our initial view on what we can do out there is good.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And
of course you
everyone's
can
drooling in chat right now. And
well,
we went to Rock Island, which is in it's the north of Green Bay, right?
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much if you're looking at an image of Wisconsin, where the uh little point off the west coast or the right side of the uh, state, um, where that's where the island is, so to speak. And it's funny enough, I was actually um, listening to an old radio show, and they were like, "Hey, what state has the most lighthouses?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Michigan." And I only remember that because of listening to the lady at the lighthouse when we
Mm-hmm.
were out there, and she was like, "Oh yeah, and this is they have all these lighthouses out here because the fucking the lakes, the Great Lakes, right, are
Yeah,
really, they're
it has
hazardous."
Door County, which is short for Death's Door County, because it's
Yeah.
had some obscene number of shipwrecks.
Well, yeah, that was the thing too, right? There
Yep.
was so many shipwrecks out. So I was like, it's so funny because they were like, "Oh, is it uh California or is it Maine?" And it's like, no, it's Michigan, because
Yep.
we just all these fucking shithole lake areas.
Yeah, it's the Wisconsin and Michigan shore coast that has the greatest number because they just have ridiculously rocky coastline in the Great Lakes, and they've had hundreds of shipwrecks in this small area.
And wasn't, I think the lighthouse that we went to, it was just decommissioned just recently too. So it's like,
Well, not really decommissioned, because what they did was they have the new generation
yeah,
of
they changed it up.
high-tech lighthouse.
Yeah. so, so it's it's one of those things where it's um yeah, you wouldn't think about it until you actually go out there and take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And we still gotta deal with Gremlin Granny out there, so
Yes. And I still have the Mace of the Midwest Minions. And Jack's in-law, or sorry, Jack's Law, not Jack's in-law, Jack's Law. It is not so much a daydream hour. We've just been chatting about whatever we feel like chatting about, and we got onto the topic of food, and that naturally went to the topic of me cooking things and the various times that we've had Minions gatherings and what I've cooked at those Minions gathering. And now we're just talking about the fantastic camping trip that we had a couple months ago, and mentioning that there are plans in the works for a repeat of that next year as well.
Yeah, I honestly I hope it becomes a normal thing for a Minions meetup.
Yep.
I know I was talking to Terry, and he was like, "Yeah, I wouldn't mind hanging out with you guys, and if we can accomplish that, because I know the next one, again, I know I probably shouldn't be saying anything, but the next one coming up, we might have some Canucks hanging out, so that'll be interesting, and if we can get that to go down, I think that'd be fucking awesome. But yeah, if we can get Terry to come hang out, yeah, get
That'd be
Mossy.
amazing, because not only did Terry have to leave his house in order to come hang out, he would have to leave his entire fucking country.
He'd have to leave his emu family. Oh, I mean his country and all that.
Leave his emu overlords.
I know. But it'd be fucking awesome. And be a testament to the influence of the Minions. Listen, Minions of the Zoo, we are a wonderful, happy show that's family friendly.
Oh, shit,
I know, I know, I know.
Cannibalism.
And
fucking designer genitalia shops eventually opening up, because it's going to be a thing. It is absolutely going to be a thing that you'd be able to go in and choose your nerve density that you want, the length, the coloration, everything like that. You fucking know that we're a weird enough species that that's going to become a thing.
and that's what you get when you click on the link. And hey, don't forget to like our Rumble. Have we hit 30 yet? 30 out of 100.
Let me see. I have that up in another window. And nope, we're still 29. So we're
29.
a bit over a fourth of the way to what we would need in order to start being able to stream on Rumble.
Listen, once we hit 100 on our Rumble, I will open my OnlyFans for free, so you can get all the video and images of me for free if you hit that like on the Rumble.
Are you trying to scare them away from it?
I'm trying to entice them, sir. Look,
And-
I'm doing my part. What are you guys doing?
I'm talking about food.
Yeah, well, I'm shaking my yams, all right? So,
And as for, is the camping trip open to just minions? It's probably going to be minions and minion adjacent.
I mean, honestly, it's just a camping trip. If you
Yep.
want to hang out with us,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's not like we do any like rituals or anything, except for this one time.
Cannibalistic says that he would rather be molested again than see that. This sounds really bad, but you have to remember it's like the 4th time this week.
Look, okay, look, I have a little bit of cellulite on my left butt cheek, but look, beauty is beauty, okay? Come
Mhm.
on.
But yeah, it is a hell of a lot of fun whenever we're able to have a minion hangout like that.
Actually, I gotta ask you about the tent that you have, because it looked nice.
Oh, I think it's a 3-person tent.
They say that like 2-3 person tent, but it's like, come on, and unless it's like the circus tent that
It's
was
a
propped up. It's
3
it's
fairly lithe people tent, I think would be the best way of phrasing it. If you have big shoulders, yeah, you'll fit like 2 people in.
yeah, it's you can 1 person that you can move around in the
Yeah.
tent.
3 people would make it fairly tight, but with 1 or 2 people, it's a decent size for that. And again, it is entirely dependent on how large the people are, because if you have like 300-pound girls, you could probably fit a 4th one in there. If you have a giant Tolkien dwarf, you can perhaps fit one other person in there.
Hold on, 300-pound women's.
That's 3, as in the number 3, space, 100-pound women. So
I got.
a trio of 100-pound women, not a 300-pound woman.
I mean, not to disparage, but the idea of a giant Amazonian lady with sharing the space of a tent. I don't think it's a bad thing, so to speak.
The Amazonian woman would weigh substantially more than 100 pounds.
And I wouldn't.
You'd be fine with it, yeah.
Yeah, my stapler is okay. I'll get that too. Oh shit!
Yeah, like if that supposedly 7-foot tall woman that's in one of the interesting rooms on the Minions Discord was willing, yeah, that would be fucking fantastic trip. And yeah, 3-person means 2 people in their gear. Because the gear takes up about the amount that a person would. So it's 3 people without any gear. And again, that's fairly small. 3 people without any gear.
No, sir. I'm already. I guess you can say I'm already subbed to a particular lady. So I can't go out by my means. So, but yes, the tenting numbers. That's something.
Yeah. But yeah, that trip was a hell of a lot of fun, and it should be a hell of a lot of fun with the next time as well. So definitely looking forward to that.
And next time we go out there,
Don't get in a car wreck.
well, that on Twisty Road, nonetheless.
Yep. I still made it in. I made it in like nothing fucking happened somehow.
But I do that chocolate that you guys got. What was that?
Yep.
Chocolate shop? That was pretty
yeah.
good. And I want to get some chocolate from there. So
yeah, Uncle Tom's Cabin chocolate.
Uncle Tom's
Cabin.
Cabin.
It was Uncle Tom's Cabin Candy. No, it's Uncle Tom's Candy Cabin, I think was the full name of it. Let me quickly double check. I have one of their products behind me. Let me see what the name was. Yep, it was Uncle Tom's Candy Cabin. Which means that they actually knew the fucking story, unlike a bunch of numpties who don't know who the hell Uncle Tom was in the story. Because if you ever hear someone call someone else an Uncle Tom, not only are they being racist as shit, but they don't know the fucking story.
They're showing their limitless intelligence. Fucking humans. Oh my goodness. Pederat, dude. It's no, yeah, that chocolate was very, very good. The chocolate, what's it called? The brick?
Uncle Tom. Oh, the brittle. Chocolate and brittle.
Yeah, just a sheet of chocolate with whatever they had on there. That's
the
really
bark.
nice.
So they had
the
chocolate bark that they do, which is the various types of chocolate, and then they have the brittle, which is caramel.
Oh, that was the caramel stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And Tyrannus, Uncle Tom was the fucking hero of that story. He dies in order to keep someone safe. He's the fucking hero of that story. Anytime that someone calls someone else an Uncle Tom, they're calling them the hero because they're fucking ignorant in their racism. If they actually wanted to refer to the villain of the story, they would have to refer to the person as a Sambo, which used to be the insult, used to be the attack.
Can I say, listen, when it's double entendre, it's master speak. Okay, if when they deter you with such speech, understand that they're only getting you if you don't understand what they're insulting you with. So when they call you Uncle Tom, it's they are disparaging the actual character, and they're using you. It's hitting you, like, ugh.
It just drives me crazy. Not only are they being a racist piece of shit, but they're being damn near illiterate in their attack on you, because they're not aware of the fucking story that they're referencing. They're being literally illiterate.
Well, no, I think a lot of times they are aware of the foundation of what they levy, and that's the point. Is they're not only they're mocking you in so many ways. Is they're saying a phrase, but it's also you don't understand fully the insult, so it's a double mock. It's like it's word magic. I don't even. We don't have enough time to. If you want What is it? Friday? Okay, so maybe yeah, maybe tomorrow we can open up a class and talk about masterful speech. And I can tell you that you know, I mean, go into it all. It's yeah, it is odd, but chocolate bark. Yeah, that was good.
Mhm. It is absolutely delicious, and
Uncle
their
Tom's
brittle was
chocolate cabin.
fantastic. It
Yeah,
was Uncle Tom's Candy Cabin.
I just like that we went in there and well, we waited for the shop to open up,
Yep.
and the old lady came out and put the flag out to make sure everybody knew that the store was open. And then when we went in there, she offered us lemonade chocolate like
Yes.
brittle things or
It was the um, sweet lemonade white chocolate bark.
oh yeah, it was white chocolate bark. Ah, delicious. And she came out, she's like, hey, how about you try this? And dude, 100%.
It was
That's what I'm
fucking
going
amazing.
for. That's American, dude. That's I love it. It's
And
fucking
Tyrannus, you're absolutely correct that it is the implication that you owe your allegiance to this group or that because of the amount of melanin that your skin happens to produce and the ease with which you're able to generate vitamin D.
mhm.
The only thing that the
Oh,
amount of melanin that you produce and the ease at which you produce vitamin D should matter in are you more at risk for seasonal affective disorder? Sad. If you have high melanin content and you're living in an area that's dark, yeah, you'll need to take a vitamin D supplement. That's just how shit works. The other thing is, how easily do you get a sunburn? Because if you have more melanin, you don't get sunburn as easily. Your sunburns aren't as bad, they aren't as common. If you have less melanin, you get sunburns easier. You get worse sunburns when you get sunburns. And then the third thing is any other related issue with vitamin D deficiency, which there was a scientific paper that I wanted to strangle people when I saw it because it was the one of the dumbest fucking papers, and I've been noticing this a lot recently, where people will say something that has been known for fucking ages as if it's a brand new discovery. And one paper that was a massive example of this was a scientific paper that was reporting on their latest finding, which they were treating as if it was absolutely fucking groundbreaking. Do you know what their finding was, Adam?
um, I do not.
People that have a higher melanin content in their skin have
Wait,
a
did
increased
they
rate.
choose to have a higher melanin
So what
percentage?
they said was if they have a higher melanin content of their skin, they have a higher rate of low serum vitamin D. And then they continued to say, and when these people also have noted issues with mood regulation, especially during winter in northern climates. And they
Whoa.
listed off a bunch of other things that are known to be the result of
Uh,
low vitamin D content.
hold
Do
on,
you
hold
know
on.
what
So,
makes this paper infuriating to me?
well, I don't know, because I mean, is my doctor racist because he told me to he prescribed me actually the vitamin D.
No, it doesn't mean that your doctor's racist at fucking all. The thing that absolutely enraged me about this paper was that it had the fucking audacity to treat it as if this was some novel discovery. This shit has been known for damn near 100 fucking years. It's one of the major factors that is hypothesized as the reason why we ended
Is it
up
hardcover
with
or softcover? Oh, I'm sorry. That
racial
was,
evolution that we have, where people that are in more clustered areas around the equator, they tend to have darker skin. The further away from the equator you get, the lighter your skin gets. So when you
Whoa,
look
Sanguine, you're veering into the racist territory. I don't know.
when you look at the more equatorial areas, not quite equatorial because Asia, except for Oceania, is a fair bit away from the equator. But yeah, when you look at Southern Asia, people tend to be darker than when you look at Northern Asia. Because as you got to areas that get less direct sunlight for a shorter period of time in the year, you need to be able to generate vitamin D more efficiently because you have less sunlight to generate your vitamin D. So in order to do that, it meant that melanin, which protects against UV light and is very beneficial when you have a fuck ton of sunlight for long periods of time, having high melanin content so that you get less damage from the sun. You're still able to generate the right amount of vitamin D because it's been down-regulated by the melanin so that it takes more time for you to produce the amount of vitamin D that you need. But you're getting plenty of sunlight, so you're still able to produce the amount that you need. As you move further away from areas with high-intensity sunlight for long periods of time, you end up with a ever lesser need for melanin until you end up at the point where if you have melanin, it is actually detrimental to generating vitamin D. So you end up with this gradation where when you're in polar areas, fairly pale. When you get closer to the equator, you get darker. It's commonly fucking known. It's the common explanation for the evolution of race when it comes to evolution. But they were acting as if this was brand new information. And then they had the audacity of acting as if disorders that we know are caused by vitamin D deficiency. We've known this, again, for fucking generations, that these are vitamin D deficient disorders. They were acting as if it's ridiculous that, hey, this thing that we know decreases the rate at which you generate vitamin D is associated with lower vitamin D in your blood serum because you're producing less, so you have less in your blood. And then that is all linked somehow to vitamin D deficiency disorders? No fucking shit, you gormless motherfucker. Yeah, it's almost like environmental factors are the entire prompting for evolution in biology. Who would have fucking guessed that the fucking definition of biological evolution would be the definition of biological evolution? Oh my fucking god.
Sometimes it's easier to say one thing than admit the other, you know?
Yeah, and the thing was that, like I said, this is a trend in scientific papers that I've been seeing recently. Because it didn't just happen in that medical journal. Which, again, it should have been laughed out of the journal. Rather than published, they should have received that paper and they should have laughed in the author's face and said, you're trying to publish 150-year-old research. What the fuck are you? Why the hell would we pay you to publish this shit? We aren't going to pay you to publish this shit. This doesn't belong in a journal because this is a journal of current scientific development, not from 150 years ago. But the other paper that I saw that was very emblematic of this, let's publish goddamn ancient research as if it's brand new and just found out. There was a paper that it was, again, written as if it was the latest and greatest information, something that was just found out, never before considered, never before tested, that it is just something that, oh my God, this will shake the entire world of education. And what the paper found out is that when you have tightly grouped skill cohorts, that results in a much more efficient educational system. This has been known since the fucking Dark Ages. But they're publishing it as if it's some novel discovery that they just now were able to determine because, oh my God, aren't we so advanced and beautiful? We're able to figure out that when you have a bunch of people of varying skill levels all grouped into the same room, you have some people that it takes them longer in order to learn the lesson. You have some people that are finished with the lesson already and they get bored shitless, so they start switching off. So you have, let's say 10% of the class gets bored as shit. They just switch off. They don't learn anymore. You have 10% of the class which is being pushed at too fast of a rate. They switch off because they're having too much trouble and they don't learn anymore. You have another 10% on either side. One side, it's to the point where they're still somewhat trying, but they aren't progressing quickly enough. And you have another that they aren't entirely switched off, but they just aren't learning the skills that they need to learn in order to be good lifelong learners. And then you have this
in all
grouping in the center
fairness,
that's about at the right word.
in all
learning.
fairness, we are harvesting fresh new humans who just recently learning that 1 and 1 equals 2 and how to tie their shoes. So
let's hope that they're at least learning 1 and 1 equals 2.
Well, we're working at that. Okay.
It's just absolutely infuriating because, again, scientific journals should be publishing actual scientific discovery, and they should be advancing the field by giving the latest and greatest information. They shouldn't be fucking around with 150 plus year old research being published as if it's brand fucking new. It would be one thing if the studies were saying that, hey, we confirmed this thing that was done before, we tested it out again, and turns out it still fucking works. Okay, that's something that I can accept. But trying to publish it as if it is brand new information, fuck you.
How did we get to this point? I say that in jest because I know how we got to this point, but at the
You
same
want
end,
my
it's
honest answer, though?
sure.
We got captured by the HR department.
Yep.
The HR department got ideologically captured, and then everyone else got captured by the HR department. That's how we ended up here. When the HR department started to decide that they wouldn't hire based on merit, they polluted the rest of the system. Yeah, when it comes to science, shit like this really pisses me off. When I hear about incompetency being promoted as if it's groundbreaking, fuck you. You should have never been part of the field. You should have never been given any sort of credit, any sort of accolade, because you do not deserve it. This is the same thing that There was an article that was published a little bit ago, and I've talked about this because I found it fucking hilarious, but also infuriating at the same time, because there was a journal article published about how women aren't cited as much as men. And the funniest thing about that journal article, it was a scientific journal article. They had, of course, a non-scientific press release for that. And they didn't just have one, they had several non-scientific press releases. So one of the non-scientific press releases cited one of the other non-scientific press releases, which was the original non-scientific press release, which never cited the fucking paper itself. So it was a paper written by a woman about how women aren't cited, that her own press releases didn't cite her shit paper.
Oh no. So I guess she didn't see this coming. Yeah!
It was just absolutely hilarious. I cannot imagine being so goddamn incompetent that I'm trying to whine about my papers not being cited, being in charge of the press release statement, dealing with my paper, and forgetting to cite my own goddamn paper. But the thing is that when it was gone into, when another person actually looked into why there's this lack of female authors being cited, what they found is that the rate of foundation, or that most foundational papers are penned by men. Which means that the most important papers in a field tend to be penned by men. And when a paper is important, it gets cited all the fucking time. The foundational paper of a field will get cited. That's the reason why, despite some people trying to claim that Dr. Money has been completely removed from gender ideology papers, no. They all still cite the Dr. Money paper. They still reference it. It hasn't been excluded. The paper with a 200% suicidality is still widely cited because it is the foundational paper of the entire fucking field. And it's just infuriating. Because it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason why women aren't cited as much, they aren't writing the foundational papers. Which, also, one of the other things that made this absolutely hilarious, do you know the standard form for your name on a scientific paper, Adam?
Wait, what do you mean? Like a scientific certificate, or
So
just
when you're listing the authors on a scientific paper, how do you list the authors on a scientific paper?
with like a direct name state?
So if, let's say I'm publishing a paper under my username.
Yeah. So
So-
how do you work it? Like, because it not to sound I mean, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I understand I sound goofy, but at the same end, there is it all uppercase or lower, like
So the way that the names would be listed, using my username on here as an example. So my username, in case someone isn't looking at it, it's Sanguine Mathghamhain. So the way that I would be listed on a scientific paper is Mathghamhain, comma, space, S, period. Because it's surname, comma, first initial, period. If there's a second initial that the person uses commonly, second initial, period. And then it would be a comma, and you continue listing authors. So if it was, I wrote a paper with Tyrannus, it would be Mathghamhain, comma, S, period, comma, Alexandrius, comma, T, period, comma, list additional authors. So, if you see someone's surname and you see their first initial, can you tell what gender they are?
Off the bat, probably not.
Yeah, the answer is when you're looking at the name, you have no fucking clue. The only way that you would be able to tell the gender is if you actually knew the author. And that requires if they're saying that people are choosing not to cite women, name fucking names. You know the people that aren't citing you and that are purposefully not citing you. If your field is, if authors in your field are explicitly not citing you because you're a woman and they aren't citing any other woman because they're women, you would be able to say that Bob Smuckatelli has never cited a woman, even when a woman's paper is something that should be cited within their work. They refuse to cite women. Bob Smuckatelli is sexist, but they never cite the person. They never point out who is doing this. They just say that male authors will refuse to cite female authors. If they're doing so because they know you and you know them, and they're just insisting that they won't cite a female author when they pen a paper, fucking name names, motherfucker. Give us who the fuck these people are, because the vast majority of people, I've written scientific papers. When it comes to writing a scientific paper, if something has fucking anything at all to do with the thing that you're trying to research, you will cite the shit out of it. Because you need to have papers to cite for damn near every component of your paper. If there's another paper that did a similar method as what you're doing for your experiment, you will cite that paper because that paper gives you increased credibility, because you're able to say, see, this method, not only do I believe that it's viable, not only am I using it in this way, but it has been used in this way before and it has been deemed viable in this usage before. If it's a paper that did the foundation research for what you're currently studying, you will cite it because you need that foundational research in your paper in order to justify why you did your experiment, how you did it. You will cite fucking everything that you possibly can. And because a good chunk of the time, there's journals that will insist that you have between this number of citations and that number of citations. So unless you've maxed out your number of citations, you'll cite everything. If you have maxed out, that's when you have to pick and choose. And you'll then trim back to the ones that are actually important, and you'll leave out the superfluous ones. But that's
sounds like the paper itself holds weight. So shit.
Oh, and that's what they're trying to do. The people that are complaining that women aren't citing.
Whoa! Hold on. You are way down the hallway.
Yes, I just went to grab rice. So the people that are bitching and moaning about this. One moment, need to grab one more thing. The people that are bitching and moaning about this and claiming sexism aren't trying to change the minds of the people within their field or explain why their paper is something that should be cited. What they're trying to do is they're trying to do the HR approach. They aren't going to the people and saying, what the fuck, why aren't you citing me? They're trying to go to the journals and say, if someone doesn't cite 50% men, 50% women, even if the number of men in a field is 80 to 90 something percent, they're clearly sexist, and you should not publish their papers. They're trying to go about it through the most cowardly backdoor method, which is why I'm saying that they're HRing it. Because they aren't talking to the people involved. They're trying to go to some manager who doesn't know a fucking thing about it and bitch and moan to them. And yeah, that's the other thing, Green Badger. Because it is surname, comma, and space, initial, period, she's, unless she knows everyone that she's referring to in these studies, she's assuming the genders a good chunk of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the thing that was done a while ago of, I can't remember which newspaper it was, but they did an analysis of crimes by different racial groups. And their methodology was they counted every time that a story was reported, because they weren't working with the actual stats. They weren't working with the FBI or local department stats. No. What they did was they looked at local and national newspapers, and any time that the race was explicitly stated in the news story about the crime, they would count that as someone of that group committing the crime. If the race was not mentioned in the story, then they would group it as undetermined, and they would ignore the undetermined because they were just looking at the ones that were explicitly named. And that was the way that they calculated which group was the most likely to commit crimes. In this stat, they found out that, or in this analysis, they said that white people were overwhelmingly the most likely to commit crimes. Because in the vast majority of articles, white people were named. It was a white assailant. It was a this assailant. And that's after they discarded all the ones where it wasn't. Because when you actually looked at it, the vast majority, no one was mentioned. Then in the ones where a race was mentioned, white people were mentioned the most. This ignores one thing that has been stated before, which is the reticence of the media to publish certain sorts of information, and their keenness on publishing other sorts of information. Just completely ignored that. Completely ignored that there's this noted trend, refused to use the actual crime statistics that we collect, which looks at the crimes and arrests and convictions, and instead just chose to use newspaper articles. It was absolute junk science from the get-go. But they published this meta-analysis, as they called it. And then that just started getting cited by everyone. That, no, this group did a meta-analysis, and they demonstrated that when you're looking at crime, it's overwhelmingly white people. It's far exceeding their percent of the population. And you're going, except that isn't fucking true. Don't cook your stats. Look at what the actual numbers are. People that say, well, it's because of someone's race that they're this or that, they're fucked. They're racist. Argue against them. But don't take their analysis at their word. You can.
All right, Sanguine. Are you using the colloquium of cooking the stats because you host a cooking show?
No, it's just the old saying of there's lies, damned lies, and statistics.
I couldn't help myself. I saw the opening and I had to go
And
Go
you
for it.
seized it.
Yep. Carpe de diem, and I'm gonna wedge Macedonian in there, just because.
Did you
why
just
not?
say Carpe Diem?
Yep.
Seize God's Day?
Mm-hmm. I know what I said,
Why are we stealing God's Day?
sir. I say it to see if we have anybody in the chat that'll pick it up. And do we have anybody who has learned it in their Latin? We shall see.
Man, that's something that I wish would return to being a standard. It'd be amazing to have
Yeah.
it again be a standard where, yeah, once you get to a certain grade, you'll have rudimentary Latin and Greek.
Latin, Greek, Farson, and yeah, and then we worry about the sea people. So,
But it is about that time, and it sounds like we are somewhat winding down. Would you agree?
yeah, well, oh, 12:37. So yeah,
Yep.
suppose it is that time.
So shall we go to our parting words?
Sure, yes. Before I want to do an encompassing again. I know we covered it earlier, but check out our Rumble. We're trying to hit up 100 viewers or rumbles or whatever the fuck.
100 followers.
100 followers on Rumble.
I think it's followers. Let me double check. It's either followers or subscribers. I'll quickly double check what they call it. Every social media, it's subscribers on Rumble. I just looked and it is subscribers. It gets confusing because some people call subscription one thing, some people refer to that as following, some people refer to it's subscription on that.
Yeah. I'm fucking flummed. But yeah, go check us out on Rumble. Make sure you hit that subscribe button out there, and we can get to 100 Rumbles or 100 followers, so to speak. And hey, not to disdain from our YouTuber peoples, hit that like and subscribe
will
as well.
Continue on YouTube until such time as we are kicked off of YouTube. So
Yeah,
don't
until
be
we say
worried
the
that
wrong
even
thing.
after we get a 100 followers that we'll just abandon, or 100 subscribers that we'll just abandon YouTube. No, we aren't going to abandon YouTube. We're just getting this as a backup. Potentially, we might at some point do additional shows on there just because we're able to speak more freely. But there will always, as long as we're able to, be material that we put out on YouTube.
Exactly. We'll be able to say what we want out there, but for now, we gotta curtail our speech. In terms of final thoughts, I would say for me, I love y'all and God bless. I look forward to chatting with y'all and next time at Minions of the Zoo.
Sounds good. And I'll leave off with my standard of if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. Also, very nice Green Badger Outdoors. The rights of the people shall not be infringed. It's a
Yes.
rough translation in order to make it work better in the English. But yeah, that's what that means because it's THUR is the rights of populi people non infringere infringement.
Salve, brothers.
So with that, have a good night all. The zoo is closed.
Good night.